Wake up. It's 5, and we're live.
Oh, is this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game. Come on!
You heard the voiceover guy. Pregame Show. Joe Spadoni in here for the next hour. We got a lot to get into. We got NFL draft tomorrow. We've got NBA playoffs galore to break down. We have Warriors offseason, well, for the next few months. But we're going to start looking at some of these games. And Justin Termini joined Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky yesterday. You can find the entire interview on Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Also find it via the Odyssey app. Download that, favorite 95.7 The Game. Take us wherever you need to go. You can take that to Chicago, Maryland, Canada, Mexico, Argentina, wherever. We're global here. We're actually intergalactic. I think our speakers go all the way out into the galaxies. But you can look at this mug this morning if you want. Search 95.7 The Game on YouTube. Ring that bell, all of that. Again, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Justin Termini, voice of SiriusXM NBA Radio, joined the morning show yesterday, and he kind of brought home a sobering reality about Klay Thompson potentially being in another jersey. And he brought up a team, it might have been Bonte or Termini, I'm not sure, but Philadelphia. And I just shuddered at the thought. I just curled up. The thought of Klay Thompson having to play in front of that fan base. I got Danny Green vibes from when Danny Green had to play for the Lakers. He had to play for the Sixers. And I'm not saying Danny Green is on Klay's level. I'm not saying that at all. But at their stage, and at this stage of Klay's career, he's closer to being a Danny Green type of a player, more so than ever before. What do I mean by that? 3-and-D guy, right? But mainly a three-point scorer at this point. Defense, occasionally. That's not going to be his calling card anymore like it once was when he was one of the best, if not the best, two-way player in the game of basketball. But a team like that, see, that would hurt me if I'm a Warriors fan. The Sixers, Magic, that's fine. And that's really the story. Like, we've come to the realistic conclusion that Klay Thompson might just be going. And that's crazy. I don't think we're wrapping our minds around the fact that this guy might actually be going. And here is Justin Termini, again, SiriusXM NBA radio host. You can hear him alongside Eddie Johnson. They do a great job over there. One of the great accents in all of radio. Justin Termini on it might be better for Klay to move on just for the mentals.
I think Klay would probably be better off from a basketball perspective going just to like get a fresh start and clear his head because he'll be viewed as a completely different player. Like maybe a place like Orlando would be nice for him with an up-and-coming team, and you see they can't shoot. So he gets plenty of playing time, and he'd be their main guy down there essentially for buckets. So I'd like to see him stay, but I think for the benefit of like maybe his mental health, probably better moving on.
And that's interesting because this is all he is known in the NBA, is being a part of the Golden State Warriors and being with Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and basically Steve Kerr for most of his career. Yeah, Mark Jackson, cup of coffee. So this would be a totally new thing for Klay Thompson. And is he ready for that? Are you ready for that, Warriors fans? I think we're just talking about it so much that you become kind of numb to the conversation. But when and if that Woj or Shams report drops like, oh, Klay Thompson signing a 3-year, $75 million deal with the Orlando Magic. It's like, oh, God, he's gone. We're really turning the page on the organization right now. The big three is broken up. And I guess to a larger point, this is the conversation I kind of want to have today at 888-957-9570. The old guys are getting phased out, and it's a young man's game. It really is. I look at the aging stars right now and their chances in some of these series, and I go, yikes. And especially in the game of basketball, I'm looking on my television screen right now and what Luka Doncic was doing late in that game. Just disgusting. Step back three in your dome. Kyrie Irving. Clutch. Look at that block. Look at that. On Kawhi. Well, it should have been a block. They called it a foul, but that was clean. Mavericks 96 over the Clippers, by the way. But you look at that game, and I think it's a perfect example because I feel like the Clippers are like that last team that the old guard is kind of like hovering around. Is like, oh, the Clippers can, just stay healthy. They got Kawhi, they got Paul George, Westbrook, Harden. Yeah. And they're going up against the new, if this was a Western, right? Or the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, I always kind of go back to that. The new young gun. That's what Luka Doncic is. And for guys like Kawhi, for guys like, LeBron and how great he still looked, Stephen Curry, you see Dame Lillard and the Bucks struggling yesterday against the Indiana Pacers who tied that series up. You can go on and on and on. Phoenix, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant. Like, all of the contending teams now are led by the young guys. Like true contender, title contenders this season. And in the West, I'm really only counting two of them right now. And I get it, it's early. We've only gotten 2 games through round 1. Things can change. The Lakers tie up that series against the Nuggets, and I doubt it. It's kind of shot their wad. I think they're going to get swept. But I'm looking at the Nuggets, Jokic and Murray, and I'm looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves and Anthony Edwards, what he's doing. You got Cat, you got Gobert, and yes, you got Mike Conley, a grizzled veteran who's been playing great. And by the way, Jaden McDaniels, I know we're all kind of making fun of Anthony Edwards and saying, yeah, they got KD, but we got Jaden McDaniels. And he was right. Jaden McDaniels yesterday, 25 points, 10 of 17, 8 boards, 3 assists and a steal. Hell of a performance from him in his young NBA playoff career. But is it truly a turning of the tide here in the NBA? I believe we're watching it right now all come to fruition this postseason. The Steph, LeBron, KD era, it's over. It's done. It's a wrap. It's Jokic. It's Luka. It's Tatum. It's Brown. It's all the young guys now. And they're taking over. Anthony Edwards, my God. He wants all the smoke, and I love it. He gives me Michael Jordan. He gives me Kobe Bryant vibes, the one-on-one nature of his game, talking smack in your face, wanting the tough assignment. He is marketable. He's going to be the next big star in this game. He really is. He already is a star. But I'm talking about the homegrown American guy, because we got the Euro invasion right now. Jokic, Luka, Wemby. I didn't even mention Wembanyama with all the young guys taking over. It's going to be Wemby's league in like 3 or 4 years. Hell, it might already be. Guy's unbelievable. Now you got to make the playoffs, but I'm counting on that sooner rather than later. But if this truly is a turning of the tide and the end of an era, would it be smart for the Warriors to run it back at that point? Because the league is already telling you it's a young man's game just by the results. They're telling you. So running it back would just be doing it all over again, just to have the same results. It's the definition of insanity. Do the same thing over and over and over again, getting the same damn result. You can't do that. So on one hand, it would be hard to move off of Klay Thompson if the money truly ends up not being right. But on the other hand, you got to rip the Band-Aid off at some point, and maybe, just maybe, this is the perfect scenario to do it. And we'll start seeing there's going to be some buzzard feeding here with some of these older teams. Steiny brought it up in the chat last night. There's a lot of old guys that could be looking elsewhere, looking to join other teams. And while that's not going to be the answer, it could certainly help. Getting a guy like a Paul George, it can certainly help. Hey, possible you can get KD for part 2. I know, seems crazy. But that's kind of what we're looking at right now. All these old guys are going to start looking around the league being like, man, I don't know if we can all join each other anymore. The super team, right, experience feels like it's over. You need depth, you need size, and you need youth. And right now, the Warriors just don't have enough of that to compete. And how do they do that? How do they get there? Well, first off, you got to keep Kuminga. Like, if I've said anything this morning, I hope that I'm hammering into your brain, keeping the young and good players on your roster. But that means trimming off some of the fat. And whether that's Klay Thompson to you, whether that's Andrew Wiggins, for me, that is absolutely Andrew Wiggins. And moving off of him. Can't be consistent in this game. I don't want you on my team. If I don't know what I'm getting in a night in and night out basis, no. That means I can't count on you in clutch games and clutch moments like I couldn't count on you in that play-in tournament against the Sacramento Kings. Like I could not count on you throughout multiple times this year going up against bad teams. Now, I knew what I was getting from Klay. It was going to be a mixed bag, but you know what? He showed up. Mentally, he showed up every single day on the court. Not that I'm going at Andrew Wiggins and what's going on between his ears and his brain. He's dealing with a lot of family stuff. It's been reported. Like, I get it. But on the court, and we're talking strictly basketball here, I can't count on a guy that's not going to be there every single day on the stat sheet. Just can't. Not if I'm paying him that much. And this isn't the NFL. We're not restructuring deals. We're not doing anything like that. It's guaranteed money. It is what it is. And you got to find a way to move off him. Now, I don't think that you have to attach something to Andrew Wiggins to get something back. See, a lot of people are saying, if you attach Moody to him. No, I'd like to keep Moses Moody. Again, I would like to keep my young guys on the team if I can. Pajemski, Trace Jackson Davis. I almost said James Wiseman. Kuminga and Moody. Those are the guys. Chris Paul, he's probably moving on. So you got Steph, you got the young guys. You're going to keep Draymond. And so what's going to be with Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins? That's going to be the question this summer. We've already been talking about it a bunch. Here's more from, again, NBA host on SiriusXM NBA Radio, Justin Termini, who joined Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky yesterday. Blame Draymond for this past season, not Klay.
I don't know if people out there are blaming Klay for missing the postseason. Like I said it on my show, it's not his fault. It's Draymond's fault because he's the guy that missed 15 to 20 games. And if he didn't miss 15 to 20 games, you guys would have been the top 6 seed. So to me, like I'm pointing the finger at Draymond for 2 consecutive seasons for sabotaging basically the year.
And here's the thing with Draymond Green. He's not going anywhere. He's not. I haven't brought up his name in this really conversation because I don't think he's going anywhere. A lot of people seem to think, and a lot of callers, and I love him, at 888-957-9570. Yeah, Draymond Green, what? Yeah, we got to move off this guy. He can't be part of our culture moving forward. No, he's part of it. He's ingrained in it. And Steve Kerr wants him back. And Stephen Curry, I think, wants him back too. I think. Which is the first time I've said I think, and I know. Because Draymond Green made Stephen Curry cry. On the court, we all saw it in Orlando. Tears from Stephen Curry. Just knowing, like, I can't keep doing this anymore. By myself. It's tough. And it's the sobering reality for a lot of these stars. LeBron being one of them. And he's got a number 2. And it's still not good enough to go up against the Jokic's of the world and Jamal Murray and that tandem. So is the tandem of Stephen Curry and Draymond Green? No, that's not the tandem. Not even close. But if you are truly going to do a total rebuild and you're going to stink for about a year or maybe 2 and try to do one last hurrah and develop the young guys, and maybe you can get like a first round series in that second year and get some experience, maybe you do look to move off Draymond Green. Tank out, gut the roster. And when I say gut, it's not total tank mode, but you got Kuminga, you got Pajensky, you got Trace Jackson-Davis, Moody, got Steph. And then you look elsewhere. Again, one of these other teams that's going to get knocked out here in the first round, looking to move off. Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, and LeBron James could all be knocked out in the first round. How crazy is that? It's the sign of the times. More from Termini wanted to keep the big 3 together.
Seems like he wants to stay from everybody that I talk to, and I'd love to see him stay because I do miss that about the league, right? Guys just staying together for their full careers. I loved it when the big 3 in Boston did it with Bird, McHale, and Parrish. You like to see these guys retire together, even if it costs you maybe one championship. But I don't know what the feeling is for like you guys as fans. Would it be worth like maybe one less championship if it was just Steph staying and you had to get rid of Clay and Draymond? Like, I almost like the idea of, hey, one less championship, but they play their entire careers in one uniform.
That would be nice. Unfortunately, it's just, it might not be up to them. It might just be up to Clay. And see, again, and Termini said it earlier. For his mentals, it might be best to move on. Which, be careful what you wish for in a way, but also, no fan base is perfect. Clay got a lot of heat this year. We had a lot of callers here crushing him on a daily basis, and it clearly wore on him. Like, the very last interview he had talking to the media, and it was our own Anthony Slater on 95.7 The Game, Warriors Insider, covers the team for The Athletic, asking about the future. He's like, hey, let me get this question out of the way. And Clay is like, excuse me? You can't focus on the present? No, we can't. Not when you just lost. The fans do not want to focus on the present because the present sucks right now. They want to focus on the future. And the future for Klay Thompson, a Golden State Warrior uniform, might not be the best thing. For the fans, for him, for everyone. Now, this is the one that's going to be the topic du jour if the Lakers do indeed get bounced in the first round, which it's looking all but certain that that's going to happen. They're down 0-2 right now. They're heading back to Los Angeles. They play tomorrow. I'm going to be locked in on the NFL draft, but of course I'll have that on in the background as well. And yes, we'll get to Brandon Ayuk and what David Lombardi yesterday, who covers the team for The Athletic, had to say with Willard and Dibbs in regards to that contract, the details, trying to work on it. Is John Lynch going to offer one? And Kyle Shanahan, are they going to trade him on the draft night? What's going to go on with Brandon Ayuk? We have, a little bit more than 24 hours to see what's going to go on there. And I think there is a conversation to be had in regards to Brandon Ayuk and Klay Thompson and wanting these players back. And we'll get into that a little bit later. 888-957-9570. Joining the conversation. Good morning to all of you just getting off work, getting ready for work, getting ready for school. If you're in your cars, just relaxing, chilling, I appreciate you. If you're at home on the Odyssey app, if you're around the world and it's, 8 o'clock at night somewhere, appreciate you joining me here. Pregame show, Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game. Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky at the top of the hour. I'll be breaking down all this as well. And then some. Giants winning 3 of their last 4, getting the dub over the Mets last night. Logan Webb, another gem. This guy is the leader in the clubhouse right now for the NL Cy Young. I get it. It's April 24th. But man, it's picking up right where he left off. And I think Snell, not that he's going to get back to Cy Young form, will get better. You found something with Keaton Wynn as of late. He's looking awesome. Alex Cobb, 60-day IL. Hip flexor. He's got some tightness there. Don't want to be, rushing that guy back. He's an old man. Can't be doing that through pitchers. Get Robbie Ray, hopefully at some point this season. We'll see what's going to go on with the Giants. But we'll keep tabs on them throughout the year. Absolutely. Mets are playing well heading into this series too. Giants, this isn't like they're being some scrub team or anything like that. Now, you would like for them to handle their business against teams like that as well. But parity right now in baseball is kind of, unless you're playing the White Sox or like the Rockies, hell, the Rockies got to win last night. But specifically the White Sox, unless you're playing them, hey, it's baseball, man. You can lose to any team at any time. A's were giving the Yankees all they could handle last 2 days. They've won one of them. They can win the series today, by the way. Now that we're on baseball real quick, and we'll get back to the sport of basketball and football and what's going on with the draft, Ayuk. Umpiring right now is just atrocious. It really is. Whether it's the Angel Hernandez saga that's been going on for my entire life, that guy's a joke. It's disgraceful having to watch him. Whether it's Hunter Wendelstadt throwing out Aaron Boone for not saying anything when it was a fan behind him, and then doubling down and saying it was still the right choice to do that. It's like, what are we doing? Just say you were wrong. I do it all the time on this show. I eat a slice of humble pie daily. Literally, I am wrong more often than I'm right. And that's okay. Where Spadoni was wrong. It is what it is. And these guys, who go out there and listen, it's a very difficult job calling balls and strikes. I would never want to be an umpire. Of all the refs to be, I'd probably go football. Because basketball, it's so quick, it's so fast-paced. It's a thankless job. I might actually also have soccer, but that's a lot of running back and forth. I don't know if I'm built for that endurance-wise. I'd have to get into shape. In the NFL, you got those old guys that are still like in their 70s and they're doing it. I'll go NFL. Because umpiring, trying to predict the trajectory of the ball and 103 miles an hour in your face and you're trying to call it's very difficult. But at the very least, I'm just asking you not to throw out my manager when he didn't say anything. Can you just differentiate between a fan and a manager? And can you not be calling strikes when they're 3 feet off the plate? Right in the face? I don't care if you want to go home. Pass it on to the next generation if you don't want to be there. Because that's honestly what it feels like with some of these calls. We should have to have a DMV style test every couple of years for these guys. They have those for commercial licenses, do they not? You have to take these tests every couple of years. And yes, the DMV is a very depressing place. It is. But sometimes so is being on that mound and being like, what the hell just happened? Yeah, I appreciate you calling a strike there, but when I threw it right down the middle and you whiffed on it, what the hell, man? That is what is happening in baseball right now. It's not good. And again, we talked about Major League Baseball heading into this year. Man, they were coming off a great last year, the pitch clock, all that. And right now, what I look at with Major League Baseball, injuries galore when it comes to pitchers. Shohei Ohtani, which has gotten swept on the rug, so we're not really going to bring that up anymore, I guess, because that's just, he's fine. He's cool. He had a bomb yesterday. Mike Trout, by the way, another one. I think he has 10 now, 10 or 9. I think it was another solo shot. Poor Mike Trout. Get him out of there. Giants. He's got to keep winning. But the Giants aren't, let's be honest, Giants aren't trading for Mike Trout. It's a pipe dream. Got Matt Chapman and Soler. It's all we need, baby. Pete Alonso? The Mets keep skidding. We'll see. But man, Major League Baseball, I should be talking about all the players and not the umps right now and what guys like Mike Yastrzemski have been doing lately. Hey, 3 RBIs for Yaz yesterday. Yaz is getting hot. Don't let him get hot, Joe Shasky. Love you, Joe. He'll be in here soon. He might be hot. Hey, you get certain guys on certain topics. Mike Yastrzemski's one of them. Joe Shasky might be coming running in here. By the way, the lasagna he made and hijacked the show with yesterday was delicious. Thank you, Joe, if you're listening. I appreciate it. 888-957-9570 as I end my little mini baseball rant and take a sip of my chai tea. I went chai today. I usually go Earl Grey, but we're out of it. Except for the decaffeinated. Like, who's drinking decaffeinated tea? Ugh. It's just a waste. It's gross. Speaking of a waste, as we pivot here before the break and get in the Brandon Ayuk conversation, it would be a waste to not bring back Brandon Ayuk. It would feel wasteful of a first-round pick that you invested as we are on the eve of NFL Draft Day. It would feel like you wasted a first-round pick if all you're going to do is just move on from the guy. Like, that's why you draft guys in the first round, because ideally they hit and you keep them, right? Well, that's true when it's the quarterback. Everyone else, it's a yeah, but. When you hit on the quarterback, you could pay them if it's in the first round and extend. That's what you want. Everyone else, it's like, yeah, we'd like to. Ideally be an edge rusher, but hell, that doesn't always work out. Look at Khalil Mack. He got shipped off. John Gruden, see ya. We're already paying Derek Carr. Yeah, sorry. Like, so it could absolutely happen to Brandon Ayuk. And when it comes to the totem pole of necessities for NFL teams right now, yeah, it helps to have it. But man, when I got Patrick Mahomes and my top wide receiver is Rashee Rice, a rookie, yeah, it makes things a lot easier when it comes to finances. But again, there's only one Patrick Mahomes. And Brock Purdy's favorite target last year was Brandon Ayuk. The stats speak for themselves. He was second team All-Pro. He had just as much, if not greater production than most of the receivers in the NFL on fewer targets. That's how good he was. Question is, how good does the 49ers, how good do they think he is? Because if he views himself as a number one, like a Jefferson or a CeeDee Lamb, we might have some problems. We'll get into that on the other side. 888-957-9570. It's the pregame show with Joe Spadoni on a hump day on 95.7 The Game.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling.
Welcome back. Pregame show, Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game. One segment down, two more to go before handing it off to Bonta Hill and Joe Shasky of the Morning Roast. And man, they got a lot to get into. Eve of draft night in the NFL. Gonna be out in Detroit. Have you guys been seeing those weird videos coming out with like Eminem and Roger Goodell like hanging out? It's just so forced. Like, I think peak Roger Goodell was when we had the pandemic draft and he was like in his basement and he was like drinking whiskey on like day 3 of the draft, announcing picks in like round 7 from Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's like, what are we doing? That is when, honestly, I actually got a little bit more respect for Roger there. And I think of all the commissioners, I think we like to hammer Roger Goodell the most because of obviously, all the stuff that went on when he first started taking over, when it came to Ray Rice, all these different situations, Antonio Brown, everything. But I think overall, when we look back at his tenure as commissioner of the NFL, he's going to be up there as one of the greatest. He really is. From where the game started and where it is now, I mean, you could just look at the revenue. I mean, I know we like to say we hate Thursday Night Football. We like to say that. Oh, just the quality. Oh, we love it. We need any NFL we can get constantly, 24/7. We cannot. If I can give you an NFL game right now on Thursday, are you kidding me? We'd be taking that in a heartbeat on a Tuesday. And we're going to get that next year, right? Isn't it Christmas on a Tuesday or whatever? You brought NFL to Christmas. So yes, honestly, Roger Goodell right now, thumbs up in my book. Now, he might F something up in the future. He is starting the season off in Brazil for some unknown reason, but we'll leave that be. Who is it again? Is it the Eagles and... Yeah, I forget. Xfinity mobile text line, 888-957-9570. It's too far away for that right now. But we are focused on the future when it comes to the 49ers. Another season ending in heartbreak, but a great season for individual players. And Brandon Ayuk being one of them, wants a new contract. And I don't blame the guy. He was second team All-Pro. He was one of the best wide receivers in football. If you had him in fantasy, you loved him. Guy's a baller. He's Brock Purdy's emergency blanket. You need a guy to get you a first down. You're going to Brandon Ayuk. That is the guy you need to trust with the ball and his route running ability. Route running and touch and accuracy go hand in hand when it comes to quarterback and receiver and their symmetry. And it's hard to replicate that with a rookie. It's hard to do that and ask that, hell, even of guys like a Marvin Harrison Jr. or a Rome Odunze, guys like that, Malik Neighbors, all those guys, they're not going to have the instant impact like a Brandon Ayuk would. Now, you might look at that and be like, that's fine. Salary-wise, it'll be a lot easier on the 49ers. But speaking of salary and what a contract could look like, and we're all hearing all these different numbers, could it be a Devontae Smith type? Is he going to want Justin Jefferson type of money? Where is Brandon Ayuk on what he thinks? Well, here's what Ian Rappaport, NFL Network insider, had to say yesterday on the Insiders on NFL Network in regards to Brandon Ayuk, 49ers contract talks.
I would say this pretty confidently. Whatever the 49ers will pay Brandon Ayuk, who they really, really like as a player who they developed all the way through, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a team that's willing to pay him more. That's actually not really the question. The question really is, does Brandon Ayuk want to stay in San Francisco with a team that's awesome and will probably be very good for a long time? Are they going to pay him the most in the NFL? Maybe not. They got a good team. They want to keep it together. But would it be enough to keep him? I'm kind of with you. I'm leaning more as of right now of him potentially staying, but this story has not yet been written fully.
The story has not yet been written fully. Easy enough for me to say, as he just said it to me. Brandon, he's not getting traded, is he? I just have a hard time wrapping my head around that. The guy just had a great season, and everything you've shown up to this point outside of DeForest Buckner is when guys ball out for you, when your guys that you drafted ball out for you, you extend them. And if they don't, you let them move on. Javon Kinlaw, gone. Mike McGlinchey, gone. Solomon Thomas, gone. All first rounders. Brandon Ayuk, first rounder. Is he going to stay? Well, Nick Bosa, he got his extension, right? And that was what Nick Bosa was the first round pick to get extended, right? In the John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan era. How about we do another one? You are in win now mode. Like after this year, it feels like this is going to be the year for me. After you're going to pay Brock Purdy after this year, we would think. Now, does he turn back into a pumpkin? It's kind of hard for me to say that because he's only been good. So that's kind of just disingenuous of me to say. But does he have a bad season? And then it leaves us scratching like, oh, is this the guy? Did he regress a little bit? We'll see. I'm not giving Brock Purdy that he's just automatically going to have another amazing season because he's only played one full season. It's a great one. But I've seen guys have really good years, get paid, and then fall off. See that time in, time out. So we'll wait and see on Brock Purdy this next year, but all signs are pointing positive with him. But Brandon Ayuk has shown for multiple seasons now to be the dude. Now, he's the dude on the 49ers. It's a different scheme. It's Kyle Shanahan. Zone running. That is what they are known for. The script is magnificent in this offense. Would he look the same not playing with guys like Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey? Well, I think his thoughts are, yeah, I'd be good anywhere. Because again, of my route running ability and my game not being predicated on amazing size and strength, amazing speed, all of that. He's more in the mold of a Marvin Harrison, senior, not junior. Junior's tall. He's a lot taller than his dad. By the way, this whole thing now that Marvin Harrison Jr. is not going to be like the number one guy, I don't know what we're doing. He is going to be the best wide receiver in this draft class. It's not even close to me. I'm Malik Neighbors, not Roma Dunze, it's Marvin Harrison Jr. He's going to be that guy. He's the most polished. He is the most ready to dominate this league. It's going to be him. I don't know what, like, he was the guy for a while. Then we do this thing. Well, actually, let me turn this tape on. It's actually Malik Neighbors. No one was saying this when we were watching the tape every single day of the actual regular season in college football. But now all of a sudden, actually, I looked at all of it. It's not Marvin Harrison. It's Roma Dunze. It's like, okay. And Dunze's great. Neighbors is great. They're not Marvin Harrison. They're just not. 888-957-9570. And we were talking draft crushes yesterday. Yeah, that, as you can tell, that's mine. Marvin Harrison Jr. Draft crush. I got another one too, another quarterback. We can get into some of the quarterback conversations maybe tomorrow, maybe a little next segment too. But I did want to ask this. We were talking Klay Thompson first segment. We just talked about Brandon Ayuk. Bay Area fans, Niner fans that are also Warriors fans, vice versa. You have to be fans. So what do you think? 888-957-9570. If you could pick one of those guys, only one, you can only pick between Klay Thompson or Brandon Ayuk to come back and play in the Bay next year, who's it going to be? 888-957-9570. That's my question. We'll answer that on the other side. It's the pregame show, Joe Spadoni. One more segment, 95.7 The Game.
Hey, it's your boy Guru. Every time we put a rat on the table during our show, it's
Tim. That's Tim Roy, voice of your Golden State Warriors right here on 95.7 The Game. Season's over, though. Don't get to hear that beautiful man's voice like we do almost every other day. Well, I guess you do on the pregame show. I play it every day, I think. I need some more rejoins. I want some callers to call in and give me some rejoins. I need a BPA rejoin. How that even sound? Oh, my God. I think he got banned, Brian at Palo Alto, for at least for the rest of this month. It's not a month. You can call back next week. The month's almost over. How many? 30 days, half September, April. 30 days in April. All right.
I'm right.
I love that guy. I don't care what anyone says. I can't quit Brian in Palo Alto. One of the best. I also can't quit Anthony freaking Edwards, man. What a game he had last night. The NBA playoffs, if it's shown you anything, and we were talking about this at the top of the segment, top of the show, it is a young man's game now more so than ever before. Anthony Edwards, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Jamal Murray, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. It is a official changing of the guard. It is. The big three might be disbanding here in Golden State. Klay Thompson, maybe moving on. Kawhi Leonard, what's going to go on there? Paul George and the Clippers. Suns, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal. That looks like that ship is sinking. LeBron, what's he going to do? He's almost going to be 40 years old. 40. AD's still relatively young, but he's got a lot of wear and tear. Guy gets poked in the eye every other game. He's been wearing goggles. It is a young man's game right now, and all those teams I just mentioned are old. And so maybe, just maybe, you got to lean into the youth movement. And what does that look like? Well, you got to move off from guys that aren't what they once were. And whether that's mentally or physically, and that's tough to swallow. What Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Chris Paul, got to move on. And maybe more so it's on the player than the team. But even then, that could be a blessing in disguise. So I asked the question before we went to break, because we're talking Ayuk and the 49ers, what's going to go on with his contract situation. We talked about Klay Thompson, what's going to go on there. If you could only pick between them, who would you rather have back? Brandon Ayuk or Klay Thompson? From the Xfinity Mobile text line, from the 574, where the hell is that? 574 area code. Oh, Indiana, let's go. Hey, shout out the Pacers. Big win yesterday. After Draymond Green said they weren't any good. They're not going to win 16 games. Spoiler alert, Draymond, no one was picking the Indiana Pacers to win the title this year. Hot take that they're not going to win 16 games. Thanks, bud. But thank you, 574. He's chiming in on who he would rather keep between Brandon Ayuk and Klay Thompson if you can only pick between one of them to stay here at the Bay. 574 is Brandon Ayuk, no question, still at the start of his career and potentially can make another huge jump. I think that's probably the right answer, but it's still, there's so much equity built up with Klay Thompson. He is so much more beloved as a Warrior than Brandon Ayuk is a 49er. Like, if Brandon Ayuk gets traded, we'll have maybe a day or two, and it'll be a theme throughout next season, but we'll have like a day or two talking about it, and then whoever they drafted, that's going to be the topic of conversation. Like, it would stink because he was second team All-Pro and he was really good. He was great. Shouldn't say really. He was great last year. But Klay Thompson is an all-time great. He's a Hall of Famer. I don't know if Ayuk's going to be a Hall of Famer. I don't know if he's not going to be a statue guy. I don't bet on it right now. It's tough. NFL's tough. Like there's only a couple statue guys in the NFL and guys that stay. It's just a different sport, so it's hard comparing basketball and that. But the equity that Klay Thompson has built up, I don't think it's as easy as Ayuk's young and you do this. I just don't think it's that simple, but I understand the argument. 415. I like how people try to spell my name, though. It's really funny because I get Spadoni, Speedone. It's not bad. 415. Ayuk is not even a free agent. He has 1 year left on his contract. Why is this such a big issue, Spadoni? Well, it's a big issue because he doesn't want to have to play on that 5th year. Guys like T. Higgins, he's doing that right now. It doesn't give them a lot of security going forward. I want to get all my money when I can. And for Ayuk, he just had the best season of his career, one of the best in the NFL last year. I want my money. I want some security because what does the NFL stand for? Not for long. This guy could have a major injury in training camp. Then what? His career's done. He's not going to get paid. And that sucks for him. I am always for the players in these situations getting their money. Always. Whether it was Bosa, whether it was Debo, whether it's going to be Brock Purdy. Get your money when you can. So yes, that is why he wants to get paid right now. And here is David Lombardi, who joined Willard and Dibbs yesterday. David Lombardi covers a team for The Athletic, talking about what the numbers could potentially look like in an Ayuk deal.
As far as agents, the number that you need to look at is fully guaranteed money, not injury guaranteed money, fully guaranteed money. Tyreek Hill's got $52.7 million or $52.5 million of fully guaranteed money. And I think Ayuk has missed one game since his rookie year. I think that he has every right to ask for more than $50 million in fully guaranteed money. 49ers have every right to take exception to that because they might not be able to fit that into their realistic budget. And if he's going to stay with the 49ers happy for a long time, then they're going to have to find acceptable middle ground and agree to that.
And here's more from David Lombardi. You can find this entire interview on YouTube. Search 95.7 The Game, like, subscribe. We're streaming all day long, Monday through Friday here. And we're going to have a draft show tomorrow from 6 to 10. Evan Giddings, Mark Grandy, and Sterling Bennett breaking down the NFL draft, the first round of that tomorrow from 6 to 10. Cannot wait for that. Those guys, best in the biz, breaking down these young prospects from the young guys at the station. Look at that. The young prospects, if you will, here at 95.7 The Game. But here's more from Dave Lombardi talking about a potential trade of Brandon Ayuk.
Somebody would have to be desperate. You would have to get that inflection point, the deadline pressure to encourage a team to send something to the 49ers to where they could get a immediate impact player with that pick that would bolster their offensive line right away. I think that's because when I look at this team, I see like one real statistical weakness, and it was the pass protection, namely on the right side. So you would have to, I think, bolster the right tackle spot very specifically. But nothing would be guaranteed. I mean, even if they were able to somehow trade up into the top half of the first round, I mean, to me, it's remarkable that in 2020, they were able to get a top half of the first round pick for DeForest Buckner. They obviously didn't spend it right. I mean, Javon Kinlaw, that never lived up to what they needed from that pick, but the value that they got for DeForest Buckner in that trade was, to me, remarkable, especially in retrospect now that we see what these players are going for. So say that they got something similar for Brandon Ayuk, and then they nailed the pick, and that guy turned into what Tristan Wirfs was the good example from 2020. In that case, they could theoretically be better, right? Because their pass protection, the biggest weakness, will have been improved.
The problem with that is, yeah, if he becomes a Tristan Wirfs, yeah, great. That would be awesome. But in recent memory, your first round pick for the offensive line was Mike McGlinchey. That didn't work out. He's in Denver now. Again, the only guy that has been extended that you drafted in the first round was Nick Bosa. And that was last year. So this isn't something that happens all the time for the 49ers. They had a lot of whiffs. A lot of whiffs in the first round. Trey Lance on line one, anyone? Might be one of the worst whiffs in the history of first round picks. It was that awful. Solomon Thomas, gone. Javon Kinlaw, gone. Like, this is why you want to keep a guy like Ayuk, right? Like, again, I'm gassing up Marvin Harrison, the Neighbors of the world, Roma Dunze, all these guys. They could flame out. That happens all the time. I know what Ayuk is now. Like, this is why I actually like and respect what the Les Sneads of the world do in the Rams. They go after known commodities. We like to crush them all the time, the F them picks, all this stuff. But it worked. They won a Super Bowl with it. Now, how long and sustainable was that? They had to take some down years. But you know what? They said, you know what? Matt Stafford was hurt. We won our Super Bowl. We'll have a down year or two. It is what it is. And then we'll reload and revamp. Oh, and by the way, we just got Puka Nacua, one of the best wide receivers in the league. Just broke the rookie receptions record all time. And I get it. There was an extra game. Whatever. He was still that good. So you got to be careful when you're doing this sort of thing and just saying you're going to get equal or more production on a lesser contract. It's not that simple. If this was an exact science in the NFL draft, and that's why we love it, and that's why we crave it, God, I love the NFL draft. Of all of the like events that are non-actual like sports playing, like not players actually playing in a game, the spectacle of the NFL draft is that for me. Like people like the weigh-ins and stuff like that, like the smack talk press conference, and NFL draft for me is up there because you don't know what's going to happen. And we're all projecting. That's why grades are so funny. Like so-and-so drafted here. Oh, it's a C- because of value. Now, there is something to be said about value, about where, X team wouldn't have drafted him. I was like, okay. But if you value someone, if a team does, and they think highly of them, they'll take them. That just is what it is. And I'm not going to fault a team for liking him. Like if Michael Penix gets drafted in the top 15, we're crushing that pick because, he was one of the best throwers in football last year. He was one of the best quarterbacks because of the medical. Guy's been healthy for 2 years, hasn't been hurt. If we're just going on tape, which is what these guys like to do, the Greg Cosells of the world, the Daniel Jeremiahs, Mel Kipers, if we're going off the tape, he might be up there with Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams, just throwing the ball. And that's what the quarterbacks do. My time is up, but the morning roast is just going to get started. Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky next on 95.7 The Game.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMC.